So we are here at East Brighton in a beautiful part of the club, aren't we, Chris?
Oh, stunning.
And this is a podcast that we've been looking forward to putting together for a while. We have Paul, we have Pat, we have James, who are collaborating on an amazing journey here, as we posted on our socials earlier in the day. And we've very much been looking forward to getting all three of you guys together to talk about the projects and perhaps some other bits and pieces that you've been doing alongside it. So welcome to the podcast, gents.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So let's just get straight into it and start with kind of what. In fact, Paul, let's ask you what brought this partnership together from your perspective as GM.
Well, for me, I mean, James was the first one kind of involved, if you like, probably coming up to 5 years ago now. Really, was actually looking back today, pre this podcast, to see some of his early emails when I wasn't actually here. Started about just after that. So James was invited in by the board to look at a kind of a master plan, which I've got over there. You guys can have a little look at. But that's kind of James's first thing when he goes into a golf club, to look at the wide, broad site of the 18 holes. Gives you his kind of overview or vision of maybe safety issues, things that need changing, or, you know, a whole vision from top to bottom. And then that's really been taken by us to put into phases of work. It might be that we've taken some of those recommendations and done them in-house. It might be that we've split them up into projects for Pat to look at, and obviously we're guided a bit by James and what he wants on each different aspect of the hole. So that was probably 5 years ago, and then I'd say over the last 3 years we've really started to get into it. The first hole we worked together on was the second hole. We did that wasn't with Patrick; it was with another contractor, but very successful, that project. I do clearly remember sitting in James's car. I've told him about this story before, and sitting there saying, "I've seen some ginger fella on social media. He looks pretty decent, weren't you?" I said, "He's absolutely brilliant, James." I think obviously they'd known each other and worked together before, maybe. And I kind of started showing him some videos on social media. He says, "Yeah, that's Pat, Race, the guys at Patrick Quinn." I think they may have been approaching to work together at that stage. And I think what we said to each other was, if we're going to take this further, and if we're going to take this on in phases of work where we're really going to accelerate how much is done in such a short period of time, which we're doing now, we need someone of a bigger stature who's able to really push this on for us. And that's where Pat came in, because obviously James would have approached Pat, had a chat about the work we were trying to do here. I think in since then, maybe 3 years ago, they've worked in some incredible other projects together, and I'm sure will in the future. And then Patrick and his partner Grace, who manages the business together, they've come down to East Brighton a couple of times, had a walk around the site with us, which you've obviously seen in some of our other videos on social media. And we've gone from there. I mean, obviously, hole by hole, we've kind of selected where we'd like things to be done. We started with our first phase of really doing the beginning of the course and then at the end of the course, so that you kind of get into it and think, this is quite nice, and then you come off the course thinking the same. Now we're looking at, in phase 2, if you like, I'd say the weaker holes of the golf course, a very bland area between 10 and 16, that sort of area of the golf course. It was bland before we started. It's now looking unrecognisable, which I'm very different. And yeah, which is where we are. So Pat's first year, last year, we looked at holes 1, 3, 4, 17 and 18. Initially, we only had Pat, and I think it was one of the just two guys. Quickly realised last year that was a mistake. You know, myself probably making a mistake there, realising how much onus I put on the green staff. You know, we were still laying turf in February, and you know, from a member's perspective, that's not really good enough, and it's a little bit too late. We've only really got to the stage now in the end of October, November, when those holes have really started to knit together. I'm sure you guys have seen if you played it, but we've approached this phase very differently. We've got more of Patrick's team here. I think there's 5 of them in total, and we've really given them their responsibility to finish the majority of the project. I think it's. I mean, I don't know how you guys think, but for me, it's complete change to the first project, the first phase. I feel a lot more in control of where we are. We feel like we're ahead every day, if that makes sense. I feel like that. I know Patrick's working a lot slower than he was last year, so he's doing a good job. But no, he's amazing, and yeah, that's where we are. So I mean, I could talk a little bit more, but I think I'll let them guys go into how they kind of come into the site and the job. But yeah, it's been a great partnership for us as a club. We're how lucky we are to have both of these here. Pat especially is obviously in my opinion, one of the best in the country. We're lucky to have him coming down here. And I'm sure James feels the same about him. He's done a
Absolutely.
lot of his work on rest of his projects. So it felt like we've got in early with Pat. We've got him before he gets a bit too expensive, I'd say.
Before I put the rates.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are. Hopefully that was a good introduction.
It's more strawberry blonde, I'd say, though.
Yeah. Doesn't have to go that far.
It's a nice colour.
Yeah, that's great. So it's been going on for a number of years. The concept. How long did it take to actually be, the inception of the actual project from just the planning phase?
I mean, it's taken 5 years to get to where we are today. But I mean, that's from James. That's from a board member saying, we need to do something on the golf course.
Yeah.
And then that's from then probably three different general managers.
Yeah.
Maybe to now 2 different guys on the golf course managing the golf course. So, with golf club life, things change. General managers move on, board members change, course managers or head greenkeepers change regularly. So sometimes projects take a little bit longer to get moving and get going than they should. I think once I've been involved, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like we've really pushed it on. It's kind of in my DNA to let's get things done. Let's really try to improve this project and product. So that's moved. It's moved quickly in the last 2 to 3 years, and I think we've already starting to plan for next year. And that's just the way we're working now. We're looking at what do we do next? What do we do next? What do we do next?
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I can already see the changes and the improvement. And I mean, in the bunkers, I mean, I only played for the first time this year, and then we played it a few more times since then. And every time I come here, I can immediately see the differences.
Yeah.
And it's making me think, oh, I can't wait for this to be this whole, like the 10th we saw today. I can't wait for that to be finished.
Yeah.
I want to take that on.
For sure.
It looks a bit harder, but it doesn't look impossible or anything like that. But it looks quite pretty to the eye as well.
Yeah.
So you can really see how quickly these changes have happened.
For sure.
But it doesn't feel rushed either. It feels
it feels in control, is like
exactly,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
I mean,
It's only been 2 weeks and it's turfed.
Yeah.
It's finished.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, a massive change for us. We did have one of our members kind of volunteer. Volunteer. I haven't paid him yet, but I'm sure we can figure that out. But he came in and stripped the turf and topsoil before the project, basically, before Pat got here.
Yeah.
And again, that was one of our learnings from last year, where we said, what went well, all of this amazing stuff. What could we have done better? We could have opened the ground up and not, when you've got the skill here in Pat, you want him shaping. That's what I want him doing straight away. So day one this year, I'm pretty sure you shaped 2 or 3 bunkers on 10, which is incredible because usually, if that was normal, we probably would have just wrapped up the 10th this week. So I think again, that's hopefully, that's my skill coming to the project in terms of how to manage something.
Yeah.
And obviously, thankfully, the club have been very supportive of me and our ideas of how to move this forward. Financially, we have to add a little bit more in to make sure we can get things done, having more people. But, the outcome, like you just said there, you've come up, you've seen a hole, and, within 2 weeks' time, we'll probably open it in terms of having it open for play. Our bunkers will leave in until April across the whole project. But, we're now looking at refining things. Where do we add mound work? Where do we start to grow fescue grasses? Where do we, which is James's speciality, obviously. So
Yeah.
So, James, I've probably got, with all due respect, and then to you, more questions for you. How appealing a canvas was this when you were introduced to the landscape?
It's a great question because this has 4 sides to it. This little ridge line here. You have the hillside, then you have the valley, and then you have you have the ridge line, which is the main part of it. But you can also add in, like, there is also like a midsection which isn't a ridge line. It's kind of like a race course almost part of it. So there's 4 distinct quarters to this site. So the thing that makes a golf course really easy to bunker, in my opinion, is slopes. If you've obviously got something on a flat line, like for instance 14, 15, they're harder to bunker. But what makes this course different, there's a little very subtle, it's almost like a dip between 14 and 15, so you can still bunker it really well because you stand on the 15th tee, and I know you two know the course well, and you still get this feeling that it drops down and comes up, even though in reality it's a ridge line. So there's something strange going on this course where every hole looks like you can bunker it really well, which makes my job obviously a lot easier because it means I don't have to move an absolute ton of earth. This man might disagree because he's the one having to physically move it, and he's not brought his dozer. He's obviously brought a 14 tonner, and then comes neatly back to Paul, who's paying for it, or the members are paying for it through Paul. And so there's this weird juxtaposition of how much can you actually design in on this canvas that is so appealing to bunker. And without getting into it straight off question one, then you've got the sustainability issue. How much sand should we have going forwards? How much maintenance does that mean? How many machines does that apply? How much time is it for him to build it? How much costs for me to come and design it? You start looking at the sustainability of it and you're going, well, how many bunkers now is actually realistic on a golf course? And some of the people you've interviewed before, you look at some of their work and it's visually very impressive because you've obviously got that. It sticks to you. Now, the reason why 10 is such an amazing change is because it has 5 bunkers.
Yeah.
But Paul doesn't have 90 bunker budget here, I don't think.
Definitely not.
But you see that, and it's that thing, whereas I could easily go and apply 5, 6, 7 bunkers. I'm sure you've done it on many courses where you can apply that level and you can immediately put this strategy in. So what we're trying to do is, what else can we do?
Yeah.
Instead of those big expensive 7,000 to 9,000 quid sandy things. Yeah. So I think the grass features here are just as important, and that's why this place is littered with it.
Yeah.
So we're pulling from a lot of, like you'll see going around now, we're starting to tie in, there's a great moment at 11 where we've used an old bunker, which I think this again comes neatly into Paul's point. I think the routing of 11 would have been different at some point.
Definitely, yeah.
Because there's this grass bunker that's short of the green, which is over there.
Yeah.
And then 12 has bunkers over there. And in other words, they don't really play a part of today's strategy, but they're perfect to tie into.
Well, yeah.
And so then it makes our work look more impressive because you've now got a grass feature and a sand feature. And now 11's one of the best changes, even though we got the dreadful water tank behind, which we're doing our best to try and screen. Paul can't move water tanks very easily. But that whole hole has transformed itself from being quite a bland uphill hole, and it now has a lot of strategy going on because we've put the 2 bunkers in the right places on a par 5, but we've got loads of grass features.
Yeah.
So coming back to your question, it's the whole golf course. There's moments I could literally say on 6 fingers, 6 genuine fantastic. I was going to say world class. Nothing's world class, but 6 genuine country beating holes on this golf course. In my opinion, the par 3s are simply brilliant around here.
Yeah.
But they are, every one of the par 3s is powerful, and then you've got 4 and 16, which play in exactly the same direction. And what we've carefully done is we've changed the strategy of 16. So what we're going to do, whereas before we load the right side would loaded on both, and they both played similar. Whereas we're going to now switch the 16th to the other side, which in my opinion is actually the correct side for the bunkers to go anyway. And now 4 comes down and comes up that way. Now 16 is going to do the opposite. Sorry, hit your microphone. It's going to come down and come up. Yeah. So we've completely on the space of 250 yards, we're going to have the 2 par 3s doing exactly the opposite. And it's those little subtleties which I appreciate. First of all, appreciate this man greatly anyway. But to touch on Paul quickly, there's not many general managers in the paddock. Sorry to all the other general managers, but there's not many general managers in the paddock who just trust the vision straight off the bat. Whether Paul's having fights internally, I do not know. I'm sure he's having fights internally
with myself.
I'm sure he's having fights with many different people. But you don't just walk into a club from 1893 and have an intervention where you're changing the golf course very easily. Yeah. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I've come into an 1893 golf course and somehow Paul's pretty much got 95% of this through. Normally, no joke, I'd be lucky to get 60% through.
I'll go touch on that quickly. I don't think it's so much for me about getting things through as here. I think the board here trust me and trust the process. Going back to what you've just said there, things feel more in control. Obviously, you have, for me, whether you're a membership base of 2,000 or 500, there's always going to be detractors at a golf club, right? If it's 10% of your golf club, you're in trouble if you've got 2,000 members. But my point to it is they can see it. They can see it happening. We've gone through the first phase, and that was harder. Because it was messy. It felt messy in terms of the mess we made around the golf course. We're ripping up this beautiful golf course that's ours. It's been there. Why does it need to change? It's been there 100 plus years. But I think and I feel, and hopefully, are supported in that fact that everyone sees the vast improvements that are coming. I touched on I'm not scared to say I did think the golf course in some aspects was relatively mediocre in some areas. And we'll see a lot of our before pictures, even looking at the whole 4 last year. I mean, we come back and laugh about it. You know,
Yeah.
we literally look at it and go, can you believe we had that golf course last year?
That's a good example
Yeah.
of the three of us working. And I don't mind interrupting him there, because the fourth was something that irritated me greatly. Nothing to do with the hole. It was just the pathway.
Mm-hmm.
The pathway before came straight over. Did you guys see it before?
I did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
The pathway just came straight over the top, was the thing that focused my eyes. Now, every time I got up there, Paul went, "You don't have to say it. I know what you're going to say." They took the intervention. I use that word a lot now because I heard it today. I thought it was a brilliant word. Where we turned the pathway down here and up. Now, that one project set Pat most probably back a week, right, which wasn't on Paul's schedule.
Sure. Yeah, James wasn't our favourite person for a few
But
months.
do you know what? But do you know what? And this is a genuine. It's not a loving, but that was a weird moment for me, because I was like, well, it's got to go down there. They knew that I wanted to go down there, but ultimately they did it. And that Earthworks package took you ages, didn't it?
Yeah, it cost a lot of money as well.
What's that money? The changes now are.
It is great. It's a bit like, I guess,
The thing is about that, it's finished.
Yeah.
That hole's finished.
Yeah.
Like eventually, maybe it was phase 3, phase 4. I would have had to have gone back to that and
Yeah.
do that no matter what.
Yeah.
So
It's a bit
we
like
just,
17, isn't it?
we just thought,
Yeah.
right, let's just do the whole thing and get it finished. And look at it now. What was your? I mean, obviously you're not an architect.
No.
What was your vision? Why did you do this?
Why did I? Well, I guess as a club, for me, I mean, it's going back to the club. I think it's, you know, you tend to look at your competitors within the Sussex region. You look wider, and everyone has aspirations to go into, to lists that people are putting together, right? And now with the world of social media, I can't tell you how many pictures of golf courses I've got on my phone. I'm sending to our head greenkeeper, I'm sending to our course director. I'm saying, look at the bunkering around this place. Look at the way that they're shaping the fairways, or look at the way that they've got the fescue grasses going off the tees, or look at how they're doing this. And I'm not a golf. I wasn't a golf pro, and I'm not an architect, but I'm just looking at it from a visual and an eye point of view to say, there's no reason why we can't attain to this.
Yeah.
There's no reason. We have the beautiful land, we have the beautiful views, and which you guys are well aware of. But I would love for people to start taking some pictures of the golf holes, and start taking a picture of 10 and saying, wow, look at that. And for me, I've read our feedback on our visitors, our social media, our Google ads, whatever it is, and you do get the views and the halfway huts and the service and the lovely people and the wonderful welcome. Now I want to start seeing people say, what a golf course, what a track, and I'm hoping, in the next 2-3 years, we've got a little 20-30 vision as a golf club, and we're not looking to get into any list, like I just said, but we want to just constantly try to improve and constantly be better and improve the product for members, visitors, and hopefully get more members coming here, because it's the choice of the area, and I feel like we're going there. I think we're on track.
Why was it more concentrated onto the bunkers, though? I
think specifically, I touched on this in the first video that we put together on socials. We did a kind of a member survey, as you do quite regularly, and as I'd say, probably I would be surprised if it's not the majority of golf courses that bunkers came out as our significant weak point. For me personally, I've watched club championships, and I've watched some of the best players at this golf club fin a golf ball out of a bunker and then look at me in quite a disappointed look. And I think I take that relatively, quite personally, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I'd sigh and I'd go home and I think, it's not what I want to go to work for. I want them to look at me and go, what an amazing golf course we put together today, and what a, we should be proud of it. And I've recently started working with 59 Club. I don't know if you guys there's a lot of mystery shops and stuff like that. So we've now had a good 6 months worth from them. We're starting to slowly see a trend of improvement there. Going back to whether or not I can get things through, if you like, on the board. It's quite simple for me to take a picture of a golf bunker that we had here 2 years ago, put it up on the wall and say, is this East Brighton Golf Club? This is East Brighton Golf Club.
Yeah.
And is this what you want it to be?
Yeah.
It's quite simple. Everyone's answer is no.
Yeah.
So then we go, well, how do we get away from that, and what do we want it to look like? I put a picture up of all these other golf courses. They don't know where they are. What ones do you like? What's the vision? What do you think? Where are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to achieve? And then bring these two masters in to get us there. And that's kind of in the process of where we are.
Yeah. And then when you two came in, were you thinking, oh, you just want to put bunkers in, more about this? Or could you see straight away, yeah, I can see where these bunkers and how that will improve it? Or did you maybe have a thought, oh, maybe I want to improve this green actually instead, and that might be
when I first turned up, I knew the bunkers needed doing straight away. The first thing I looked at, and it's the first thing that
I think let the course down is the luck of the bunkers.
Yeah.
It is that, but I think obviously James will tell you. I mean, the master plan he's put together, it's not just about bunkers. The master,
No, it's not.
Yeah,
But
go
like
for it.
visually,
100% agree.
visually, like you go to a golf course and you want everything to look nice and pretty, and that's the first thing.
Completely agree. Yeah.
That you look at is they need doing.
It's an unbelievable and dynamic transformation. East Brighton before looked fairly similar to a lot of courses in the area of this sort. Not the landscape, but the way the greens and bunkers
No, you're right.
were structured. It's gone out there in a very positive way, I must say, and transformed this into something very different, very challenging, very visually appealing, and increased the playability of the course 100-fold.
That's good.
That's what obviously you wanted to set out to do.
Definitely, yeah. No, but I mean, you've just literally said it there.
Yeah.
Go on,
God, I could get again really deep on that question. That if you go to the States, different models, different memberships, different money, but they would spend minimum 10 million quid just doing a gentle renovation of their courses. And as you most probably know, these courses do that every 7 to 10 years. They almost probably will spend a load of money, and some are 20 million. So then you come to Britain, and then now we've got budgets where you're down in the 50s. A lot of winter works projects, Paul, are between 30 and 50?
Obviously, yeah.
Most of the majority of courses.
Yeah, for sure.
So every year, to do 30 or 50 grand's worth of work in Pat's world, I won't go into Pat's numbers.
It's expensive. That is nice.
You can get one bunker.
He's good, man. He's good money.
But this is where you look at it. Then Paul will come to me and say, right, we've got, he won't ever say this is what pot of cash we've got, because he doesn't work like that. He works like, right, we're going to do this tranche of work and we've got to get it done. And then, but the transformation up there is, we're only a couple of phases in with Pat. This is our second phase with Pat. One whole phase before that. So we're at the very beginning, even though there's only one more phase of bunkering, which comes back to your point about how important is, I don't think you said how important is the bunkering, but bunkers are always the place to start, because they are the 1% or 0.5% of the course, which is very visual. So I don't know who's ever done the maths, but if you've got 50 bunkers at sort of 50, 60 square meters, some do the maths, but that takes up a very small percentage of 100 and how many acres?
A lot. I mean, you're talking your 3,000 square metre bunkering. I mean, I don't know the maths.
150 acres around here, I don't know.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, we're walking around every day now, and James is looking at that. And I can see in his mind, it's not just bunkering. It's like, we need a hollow here. We need more man work there. That tee's in the wrong place. These trees can come out. The tee can come back in. Or all these different aspects of it.
So coming back to your points, which I think you said the point of, once bunkering's done, a lot of clubs go quiet.
Yeah.
Because they sort of see it as, the course, they don't need to touch the rest of the course, because that's been our historic course. But this is where I said to Paul, you've got to now, I don't ever say you've got to now do this, but Paul's his own man. But there are so many things we can do in other phases going forwards. Like, for instance, 13, take 13, the hole you're talking about, the carries now all need to be looked at, because the carries at East Brighton are the thing that make some of the blandest holes. Now, you won't remember, but the second hole had no fescue grass in it back in the day. It was just literally tee to green and it was cut. Then what we did was we pulled the fescue right across the diagonal from the houses. And I remember Jack being so proud of it. Jack, the course manager, he phoned us up and said, I've done it, James. I've pulled all the rough across. I remember that first day I got here, and I was like, the difference in just bringing the rough into the carry. So that's the kind of thing which every single hole, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, where the most interesting holes have the carry,
quarries or
the quarry arrogance.
Yeah.
Where you're looking at it and you're going, that's what it's all about. But to say to Paul, I want to spend 10 grand, 15 grand of your money with Pat next week doing a load of holes, is very hard. Sometimes the optics of it's very hard to sell.
Yeah.
But that is the thing that will actually transform the place, because that's the other 99%, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And you can't grow grass in that's sexy enough across 99% of the course. You have to put interventions. You have to put them in. And that's why the quarry at 4 and 17 is a talking point, because it's a quarry. I don't know what the history of the quarry was. I should. Some people say it's bomb blast. Some people say it's... But that's so you get there and you go, wow, that's a feature. Now, coming back to it, that's the kind of stuff I would love Pat to say. I'd love Paul to be able to say to us, right, you've got 2 weeks in year 4 to do whatever you want. Then at that point, we'll start doing these beautiful carry areas, because golf is not just bunkers.
Yeah.
It's not bunkers.
No.
In my opinion, massively, I'm on record saying it quite a few times, bunkers are important, but they're not the be-all and end-all. That's why Royal Ashdowns, all these places that have no bunkers, and Berkhamsted, and just trying to think of some others, there's some others. And then even like a Huntercombe only has 10 or 11, I can't remember what it is. They're some of the best courses because they have these huge cuts.
I mean, you seeing yourself go, I'll ask a question if that's all right. Are you seeing yourself going into clubs a lot saying, we want to reduce the number of bunkers we've got? Is that what you're saying?
That has been a new thing for me. What I've learned is, you might have heard me say it, I'm not a massive fairway bunker fan, which will surprise a lot of people, but I find them really, sometimes they just, I've got to be careful with what I say.
Irritating.
I just don't sometimes see the value of them, because unless it's somewhere where I think you've got an open qualifying type course and you're trying to create a real control of the course and its score.
Yeah.
In a member situation, where do you put that fairway bunker for a disparity of you, who can knock it downwind 330, or you got Mrs. Havisham, whatever her name, Havisham, is it Havisham or Cam? I can't remember. The old, back in Caddyshack days, you guys might not remember. But basically, the old woman who plays in the start of the Caddyshack.
There's a couple of old fellas on this podcast, lads. We don't.
who might? Well, you're 48, so you're saying that you must have watched Caddyshack. Well, right at the beginning of that, she hits a little shot. She goes, "Oh, bit of Peter," and the bloke goes, "That's a peach, hon." Anyway, but she hits it about 5 yards. Anyway, sorry to everyone. Anyway, the point to me is. Where do you put that fairway bunker when you've got a disparity of 300 yards?
When we've stood on tees, and especially around here, I mean, you boys have just played the front 9 today, and the wind's in northern direction, so you can't. That is the most impossible wind for this golf course, right? Yeah. You know, we get up here sometimes in the spring, our first big meeting, the wind's blowing that direction. You can see everyone's already dejected. So, going back to your question, I think the fairway bunkering is for the better player. That's how I feel.
That's the way it always was.
Yeah, and I think when we look at holes, we'll look at 13 now. You guys just said you'd knock that on there pretty simply, maybe get it round the green, chip, putt. Now, you stand there, you've got a bunker at 200, 225 and 250 to carry, or around those numbers.
Expecting what I saw today.
Yeah.
As we drove back through on the buggy, I was like, what's going on there?
Yeah, it makes you think, though, so it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
It makes all of us sit there, and instead of just going, give me a free wood, I haven't got a caddy, but give me a free wood, knock it on around the green, and off we go. And
so my philosophy is very simple. Even if you've got, what I'd love to do is one day when we get the opportunity to design a course from start to finish, which, believe it or not, I never have done. And it's maybe because I've turned down a lot of that, because I don't believe that if I'm going to do a course, it's got to be correct. It's got to be the way I want it, because I don't want it to be a small budget, and then you have to again compromise, and then you would say, "Oh, that's your course," but it's still not a fantastic world beating golf course. If I'm going to do it, I need someone to say, "Here's 30 million, build it or whatever, and build it the way you want." But coming back to it, my philosophy is simple: the fairway should be relatively flat, right? As in, you've hit the fairway. So, in my opinion, you who's a good player, you hit it 300 yards into an avenue of that, I don't want you necessarily to have, at that point, a really tough lie. But going back, that's where the fairway should ultimately go back and be wider and wider and wider. And that's what I love about this course, because here it's very accommodating to everybody because of the wind. And you can see they've kept everything wide. But what I'd love to do is if you miss the fairway, you're coming into a slope of some type. Now, you as a good player, if you're on any type of slope with a wedge in your hand, doesn't matter what that slope is, it makes it awkward. Even if it's just a slight rise or a down slope or an up slope, just a little slope makes you think. So to me, there's beautiful strategy. You hit the fairway, you've got your reward. You miss the fairway, you've got an undulation. That's why I'd love Paul one day to say, right, James, you've got carte blanche, go down the edges of these fairways and carve them out. The beautiful thing about this man is he can do that, and he can do it quickly. But I'd love to test the water on that, to put the emphasis on hitting the fairway. Now, you come back to strategy, and then people will think about it more. They'll think, we don't need a 9 grand bunker sitting there. We can actually we need to hit that fairway, because if you drop into one of those hollows, then you start applying agronomy and you start looking at it as rough. And then you start going, wow, that's actually becoming quite tough now. This place can do all of that because it has the wind. And in my opinion, you don't need loads of bunkers 200 yards out when you're on a bloody windy course. Sorry to say that again. When you're on a windy course, you don't need these things. If you put a grass bunker in, that's equally as challenging from 200 with wind. Sand, you're just making it. I could just imagine someone out there on a cold day with gloves, mittens on, going, oh God, now I'm in one of these things. But down by the green, I think all the strategy happens around the green, meaning you set the whole strategy for the hole up around the green.
I think the ones you've added it onto around here, the fairway bunkering, if you think of 12, 13, 14, I mean, I know you said you want to add one on 15. I think that is to challenge the better player.
100%. Yeah, but never
13 is.
That's why, like, when we moved the bunker back on 14 from a distance which Paul said no one really ever goes in it. Then the day we're standing down by the green, someone's almost driven the green.
Again today, that was with a 20, not 20, but a 10 mile, 20 mile an hour wind downwind.
But you see what I mean? Like how the wind changes.
And these young lads are pounding the ball so far. We're not trying to set up an open rotor golf course here. We're trying to make it challenging for the member. For 90% of our golfers. Like, we're a little bit more challenging, a little bit more enjoyable. And when you guys come and play here once, twice a year, it's more memorable. That's all we're trying to achieve. It's a great venue, great golf course, and we get a lot of visitors and societies that come down to Brighton for the weekend, and they always come back. It's just, this is going to add, hopefully, a bit more quality to what you see. And I think what you were being a bit polite earlier, I think, saying it was pretty flat and pretty boring. I was a member of it before. Now I feel like we're trying to get somewhere where Ryan, who does a lot of our social media, he comes and said, it feels like some of these better courses that I'm playing at, which is, again, I go places and I see on social media, which is, you can get an eye now into a golf course that 15 years ago you were never even allowed to go in the front gates. So I can now see what these places are doing, just from a drone image, right? Or from social media aspects or whatever it might be. So we can start to learn from these better places without even visiting them.
It's going to be hard to put a poor hole on this golf course once it's done, generally, because a lot of the holes Paul's talking about, I think, were on the upper quadrant. The start is still pretty bland. We still need to do something about the start. We haven't got there yet. We've only done the green side. 18 will change a little bit more with the first. But then once you start getting onto that trail up the hill, the third bunker has to go back in. Then once that's done, then we're going to be then flipping to 5. So you're going to play 4 pretty good holes, and then you're going to be onto the 5th, which will look obviously incredible.
Absolutely.
6 and 7 are world-class golf holes. Can't wait to do that.
I'm excited about 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7. 8 needs to be, so there's something needs to happen to 8. But 9 is also leading back up into that hut. And I have plans with these guys to hopefully, without giving too much away, I'd love to make the pathway behind the 9th green better with where the halfway hut is, so that the pathway is not behind the green, it's actually between a mound and the hut, so then you don't see people passing behind the green and people sitting having a bacon sandwich. But these are all the little jobs that we're going to try and do.
As good as the bacon sandwich is.
But Paul hasn't agreed any of that, by the way. I'm just saying that out loud.
When it comes to approaching the place, how much of a factor is the wind into where you position bunkers? Because we 9 times out of 10 get southwesterly here, don't we?
Yeah, for sure.
So you can't, for example, on 2, it's heavily mounted on the left, isn't it? It's all open and drops around the right. Do you think, all right, 90% of the time a wind is coming across a course in a certain way? Does that affect where you put bunkers and how you?
Yeah, so it's everything. It's everything. The reason why there's north points on a plan is for that reason. There's no other reason for a north point. Right. So as soon as you know that plan over there, as soon as you know where that line is, you look at the long holes, you look at the short. The great thing about golf course design is it's random, and this comes back to the James Brave thing. He's laid the course out in a certain way. They were quite clever. I'll give them that. I'm on record many times as saying I think these guys were given the best sites all over the world, and I think I could have done a pretty good job as well if I was given Wentworth as a virgin site or Swindley. I think, no disrespect to them, they've done a great job, but I'd like to think if I stood in a virgin heathland with ththese two and went, where should we go? I'd hope I could carve a pretty good golf course out as well. And you two. Because I think that's all at that point, because these guys weren't professional architects, as we all know. They were different desk players, secretaries, whatever, lawyers. It's just a passion for for doing stuff. Coming back to it, I want this man to talk a bit as well, but sorry, question was again about wind. The question is those guys laid out their golf courses because of that, because they couldn't hit the ball very far. Same reality now. So how do you create a hole that plays straight into the wind? You do not clearly want it to be the longest par 4, but you can. And this is the anomaly of golf, is you can have a long hole that plays that way, and that's the fun bit. Oh, we've stuck into the prevailing wind. We've got the longest hole, and it's stroke index 1. Good luck. But that's not necessarily good practice. That's just me wanting to toughen up the course. But what the balance is, and you've heard this, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, the 18 holes is a symphony, it's a musical, it's a theatre production. How do you create the ups, the lows, the highs, the lows, the music comes in? How do you create that moment where it peaks and then comes down and peaks, similar to a race track on a Ferrari, whatever? How do you make that thing balance off? So there's a nice long stretch, then there's a corner. That's what golf is, but it wasn't my decision. This course was laid out. This is what I'm saying. Paul's brief to me wasn't to lay out the golf course, wasn't to change the golf course. And I think you talked about the greens, is I've never once ever looked at these greens as needing changing, not because they don't need changing. I just don't think it's the right job to say to Paul, have you got 100 grand to do the greens?
Yeah.
That's as much on me, because I should, if I feel that one needs to be changed, I should be saying, Paul, I don't like that green. But it's not the priority. The priority to me, when I look at all the greens, I go, that does the job, right? Now, East Brighton, should they have big, funky, new 600 square metre greens? Maybe. But that's a completely different discussion. Then you really are changing DNA.
Yeah.
Now, this course, Paul said, might have been, I do not know what the overlay is and how much it physically has changed. I'm sure it has changed quite a bit. But to me, it's still James Braid's thing. I still think it's somewhere in there is him. So I don't really want to go changing tees, changing greens, changing angles. It's not my job to do that, unless we all agree, because Pat's involved in this as well. We all agree on angles. Today, when I was laying in bunkers, I was very much canvassing these two. Now, I'm getting paid to do that job, but I trust these two implicitly as well. And when Paul was zooming in on his phone in the darkness, so you still see I've got blue paint all over my fingers. We're still trying to get those angles right, even at this late hour, just trying to get them right. Now, I can convince myself it's right, but you want 2 other people to say, that's great.
Yeah. No,
and you two as well. If you two come up there and say, that looks great, it's great.
Yeah.
But I promise you, we all have those insecurities. There isn't one architect that doesn't do it. Like you mentioned the guys earlier, they've got a team of people that do it together. Then you've got Core Crenshaw will canvass each other. They're always together. Gil Hans, I'm sure, will be with his shaper. It won't just be Gil Hans saying, I'm sorry, Gil, if this isn't the case. I'm sure he'll be canvassing people. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to run these ideas off with shapers. And it's not, we don't call him a shaper, it's Pat. It's my mate Pat. But Pat, everyone says,
call him a few others.
Yeah, my shaper, my shaper's not a shaper, it's Pat. But that's it. And he today created 3 bunkers today, 3 that are in the mud. I didn't change one of the mounds. They were there. They were correct. Don't come off the point there a little bit.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, it all folds into the same sort of conversation about what you're trying to achieve here. And Pat, we'd love to sort of get your view. Is there anything you found particularly challenging here? That you sort of had to take your hat off and scratch your head once or twice?
Probably every bunker I go to be honest. No, that is a good question. I wouldn't say like really challenging, because I've done quite a few over the years. I love having a flat piece of ground. Yeah. And then James come and say, put some bunkers in there.
Right.
And then I've got kind of not free reign, because obviously it's, it's James.
No, you should have free reign.
So for me to have a flat piece of ground and then create something, that looks, to me, that looks amazing. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Like, I love that process. Just to, step back, look what you've done, and then, speak to James and say, right, come and have a look at this.
I think my job is to position.
Yeah.
And I think Pat's job is to shape, similar to a carpenter or what's the other one? Carpenter or
joiner.
Joiner.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I.e., a carpenter is a carpenter. A joiner apparently is more special.
Yeah.
Now so therefore I'm just locating this mound. I'll say, right, that's where I want them.
Okay.
And I want the mound to do roughly that.
Yeah.
But then I won't really want to go into it more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want Pat then to come up with a shape, because that's his bag.
Mm.
He knows me, I know him. If it's the first time we've worked together different,
Yeah.
we'll have to maybe sit with it. But he does it. And how many mounds have we changed in this project? Maybe out of all these bunkers, we've had two where I've generally gone, right, we just need to change that bit.
Yeah.
It's quite
thing is,
amazing.
I don't find it challenging because it doesn't take that long for me to change something.
Okay.
So if something needs changing, then I'm quite relaxed about it. Like it's not, we'll change it and it's for the better. So it's not a.
He's not with a week left.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not a challenge. You know,
I think the challenge you might have is probably from a club point of view, where you could do this slightly differently, where James is putting together specific drawings for GPS and CAD drawings. I mean, we've gone with a different stance where we, again, what James was backing up what he's just said there, we do trust the artistic points of both what they're doing. So we don't, in my respect to James, want to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on say drawings visually first, whereas I'd rather have him here. I'd rather have him here.
That's a great point.
I'd rather have him here for the time. Days like today, we've only spent 3 or 4 hours together, but we've got so much done and so much kind of knowledge together and work together on. It feels like it's all of our project. Whereas you could, I don't know if this is true, but I guess you could just send the visual to an architect could just send the visual to Pat, a GPS drawing, send me a WhatsApp picture and I'll maybe draw a line, or I'll come and visit once in a 4-week period. I mean, we tend to we'll probably budget for 8 to 10 visits for James during this period of time.
It's definitely more hands-on, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's probably, when I say a challenge for you, I'd say, it might be a couple of times where you said to me, I don't know where the drawing might be, or might not have that drawing, but that's because of the way that I guess as a club we've kind of said this is what, we want to take the lead on your artistic views. And I think I've said it again on videos, but that the magic of the architectural stuff to me happens when James is here, not when the shapers are shaping and there's a drawing that's done and the GPS just follows where they go. So
no, it really is it's an overused word, team, but it's like the team that you put together when you were trying to become a tour pro. It's you need a team, and you can sit there and pretend that you're the most important person in the paddock. You can do that all day.
Yeah.
I've maybe thought that about 10 years ago. Well, I'm really important, but the bottom line is you're not. Because when something to get shaped is not me. I don't do that bit. I draw a blue line on the ground and go, whoa, that's great.
He does that every time as well.
And guys, this one, right? I'll see you in a week. And then suddenly something comes up out of the ground, and then he spent 2 days getting it all right, and then I come and go, see, my bunker looks great, doesn't it? Come on, it's the blue line's the position. It's all about the position, which gets sold to a membership. That's another whole skill. Selling, the board have to sell it to a membership in this particular case. So that's a whole new phase, and then it's handed over to me to speak to him, and then he comes in and shapes it. Now, the least I interfere with him, the quicker the project is.
And I, just to touch on that, I don't know what this is like at other clubs, but the thing I've constantly said to our board and our membership is we're paying the experts. We let the experts do it. So when someone comes up to me and goes, "What's happening with that bunker on 12? Where's it going? Why are you changing it?" The course committee put that in 25 years ago. But the course committee was made up of members in respect that didn't have any architectural shaping knowledge or whatever. They maybe they're great golfers around here, or maybe they were a club champion or two, but now we've been given this brief to really move the place forward. Let's get some experts to tell us what to do. And really, like I said earlier, I said these guys are experts in our industry, and we're very lucky to have them here.
Did you bring your stamp to this course, or is there a theme that you've created unique to this place? Do you know what I mean? Do you have a style that you sort of implement because it's what you know works?
Yeah,
or
it's a great question, because I don't try to have styles, but I'm trying. But these two have heard me say that a couple of times recently, because I'm learning, and I'm getting better. And I think most architects would, if they were being honest, would say the same.
Yeah.
Every single project is, you see the negative. I see the weaknesses of what I did last year here, and these two have to listen to me talk about it. But it's only right you do that, because but coming back, that's a great question about that. Do you have? I would like to think I have some things that are compulsory. In what I do.
Right.
For instance, I mentioned about grass bunkers. I'm a massive fan of them. I want loads of them out here because I think it suits the place. I'm really big into that. So that's why we haven't done that phase yet. We're just taking at the moment, we're adding the bunkers in as per the closures of the old bunkers and the bunkers that were always there that we're now adding to the sand bunkers. So that's become a bit of a theme. and a bit of a thing that we're trying to build on every hole. Now that's 1 year later than last year where we weren't really concentrating on it, albeit we did do it.
Yeah.
Like for instance, on the third, on the right hand side of the third, we kept the old bunker in with the new. Now every single person was going up there. Chris was one. He said, "James, you're going to take that out?" I was like, "What?" And he said, "That old bunker that's right short of the bunker." And I said, "No, it's kind of quirky."
You ain't taking that out.
As soon as Pat said, "This is what I mean about the trust of a shaver," the Pat went, "No, I think it's all right." Now it blocks out. You could argue it blocks quite a lot of the visual of the green.
Or the bunker.
Sorry, the bunker.
But it's a feature, and you can still see the bunker.
And then you start looking at it going, "That's quirky."
James goes, "That's architectural gold."
So, am I stealing themes? I don't know, but bunkering, I don't have a theme. I don't have a style. Like if you go to Hockley down the road, I've got James Braid course.
Yeah.
We kept the lines very simple because their club said, I'm a big believer in this. I like their course manager to tell me how they would like the style of the bunker, because it's them that has to look after it. They're not necessarily employing me at that point to stick, all the loops and like here. Yeah. Here, coming back to that question, Paul was sort of like, we trust you. You come up with that new thing. Now, being respectful of the Braid thing, and I've worked on his courses for 25 years, and I've most probably got one of the largest portfolios for James Braid courses. I might be, my old boss was a James Braid expert, Howard Swan. And so we went to a lot of James Braid courses. And I was one of the architects in the office. I was one of the interns. So we worked on a hell of a lot of James Braid courses. We did the list the other day, and it's significant the amount I've worked on across the whole country. Right. So I'd like to think I've seen his courses. And his courses weren't particularly amazingly architectural. I mean, the style of the bunker, they were very simple. The par threes were brilliant because he just put bunkers all round the greens.
Left, right.
Just right, yeah. All the par threes particularly just had bunkers round the greens, like 8-10 bunkers. Right. But then all the other holes just sort of had very simple, like the odd block here and there. Anyway, so coming back to it, I think I've built, because I've got really respectful of James Braid, but at the same time, I don't feel like we have to follow the same oval shaped bunker, which he was very significant on doing. He had turf dikes across many of his golf courses, Cotfall and all these places over there. He was famous for building these turf dikes, which are lows going into highs.
There's a couple over
9, like 18. Right. 18. He was famous for doing that. Now, if I suppose I could start to run that out across the course in many ways, but I think that would be that would be something where I'm forcing it on the landscape. I've been looking for the angles. 5th being one, you could put one on the early part of 5. But it would look a bit fake, I think, in my opinion. But coming from my perspective, I haven't really been, to come back to your question, I haven't been really trying to think of a certain theme to put on the place. Other than now we've started, the theme is building. It's becoming apparent to all of us what we're doing. Even today, Paul had a question about the greenside bunker at 13 and said, with Pat there, and we said, and Paul went, that bunker doesn't look the same. This is the general manager. It doesn't look the same as some of the others. But Pat and I, 10 minutes before that, had a discussion that we're going to keep the sand line high with no nose. But Paul's observation was correct, which is it doesn't have a nose, or it doesn't have the same look. So in the end, we bowed to our
I wouldn't say it was that.
We bowed to our Messiah.
No.
It was only the side we did that. I did actually bow because Paul's probably right in that.
What it was more for me is looking at it, and when you're looking at something, it's like, I guess the visual artistic of it for me was like the other stuff looks like your visualization of what you're trying to create, and then that looked like kind of, I don't know, I guess I got my daughter into spray or something like that.
But that's how.
No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. It was dark, to be fair. No,
at the time.
I'm just kidding. It was fine. It was great.
The thing is, every bunker shouldn't look the same.
I completely agree.
That's what we're trying to achieve today. Is not having the left and the right look the same as the green side.
Yeah, but take that as how organic this is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
is that what I mean? Is we're changing. So, and I've got to say this on record, and I love to say this on record, but that's why the mound work is more important than the sand line. Yeah. The mound work is what creates the energy. It's not the sand line. Yeah. You can stick a sand line on a flat piece of land. You can stick a weird line in it, and it just looks weird.
Yeah.
Because there's a flat landscape and then a funky line. What I'm trying to do is create the landscape, much to the annoyance of some members, I'm sure, because they're looking at new mounds, and like the new peaky mound. Now, some might say that's over the top, but I'm trying to build the story. Like, if you look up at the 15th green, you have some of the most significant mounds around the green I've seen on any James Braid course. And what I'm trying to do is bring that energy into the other greens. Now to stick that suddenly on 2 where there's nothing, and now I think 2 is generally quite a bloody good hole. That's why I keep saying. Now that little change, no, Pete, I'm misunderstood by a lot of people, and I'm trying to say that's only part of the story. But Paul doesn't have the budget for me to open up another 15 meters that way to blend it in. But I've got to start the story to be able to finish it. So styles, I'm trying to keep the balance right of the architecture of what's here, but I'm also trying to add in our own modernisation. I only think it's respectful to us. We're the ones that are taking our time. It's not a restoration.
I completely agree. Yeah.
It's a how do we push the course forward? And Paul mentions, I'm going into this a bit too much. Paul mentions about it's not necessarily a list thing, whereas I'm not so worried about that in the contest. I think it is. I would personally like to go what takes us to number 1.
Yeah.
But that's just my arrogance, is that I go, wait there, this project started out as being, I think this will be a nice project. Now I'm looking at 10 and going, Kevin Murray and all these different photographers and stuff are going to turn up here now and go, that's one hell of a hole.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Golf Digest might look at it and go, that's a nice hole.
Yeah.
And that's how simple it is in our world. Stoneham was a good example.
Yeah.
They went from being a nice course, but now Matt Plessis and the team at Stoneham and Shy, they've taken it to, they've moved it up 50 odd places in the rankings.
Yeah.
And if you look at the places that do shoot up in the rankings, and this year you look at I think Wallasey, if I'm saying that correctly,
John McLaughlin,
the Addington, both places that invest, 1 in their golf course, but 2 in the vision of what they want the place to look like and play like,
and getting shaping done to the highest level.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, I'm not putting ourselves in that name at all. We're just trying to follow suit of doing it the right way. Yeah. And hopefully, in a few years' time, people come and play and go, do you know what? Actually, what they did was right. Because it's, I keep saying to our chairman, who, obviously my boss, and gets nervous from time to time, and his members that he plays with on a Saturday morning are worrying why there's so much earth opened up. But I'm constantly saying to him, like, we are changing the face of this golf club, mate. Like, we are changing from average to good, and we're going to get there. And just keep the faith, keep going, keep telling everyone, keep saying the same story. We're pushing the right things.
Trust the process.
It sounds very much like we're. We've just lost 5-0 and we're trust the process. Trust the process. It's not that, but it's
the ridge line was, got to be careful with my words here, was not good. When we first turned up here, it was not good. The valley, you could see the potential in the valley because the holes are really solid. That ridge line, I used to walk down that ridge line going, missed opportunity. Now I'm starting to see this brilliant energy come through.
Earlier, we were on the 12th fairway, which looks directly down 13, 14, 15, back of 16, 17, and then down 18. I mean, we were talking about, maybe we've got to take some trees out so we can really get to see how beautiful it looks, because, the downland aspect of our course is really, you've really brought it back together, and, you've done all right.
Yeah. This is anywhere, Pat, where you've had a brief come through from James and you've gone, how about this?
Well, from my side of
From
things.
your side, you've gone, I don't know if that will work. And you go back, it's a teamwork, a partnership. How about this?
Yeah, like it happens, not with James, with every architect. I'll see a design, or, I'll see something on paper or a visual, and I'll go, right, let's have a go at that. But as I'm shaping and as the process is happening, like, I'll change something and I won't say anything. I'll change
and then I'll correct it.
and then I'll put it back.
And you'll go, it's great.
That's a great idea. Great idea, Pat. Great idea.
The thing is, that doesn't happen all the time. But if I feel like something is not right, then I'll put my own little thing to it, and then I'll go to the architect, James, and I'll say, James, I've done this. What do you think?
That's why I'm different to a lot of. I don't mind saying it. That's why I'm different to a lot of the architects. A lot of the guys I respect, because I will say, Pat, I want to see your shape first, and it pretty much you nail it every time. Like the fairway bunkers at 12 is a good example. 2 massive bunkers.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't work, and James goes, actually put that back, or
Pat storms off to his caravan,
and then I'll run off down the road.
I'm not trying to make this look like my involvement here is minimal. No, I do turn up there. I do sit, because Paul and I were the people that went out there, and we got the lot. You went back to the tee. Sure. Pat wasn't there. We wanted. You've got to imagine this was just a flat. There's just literally nothing there. It was just dead flat.
Dead flat, yeah.
And Paul and I were going, where should we put this bunker? And look, Paul's got the old, bang bang. And we went, here, We put some blue lines on the floor. Next thing we know, we've got this massive shape with 2 beautiful holes in it, and people go, our job's difficult.
Yeah.
But the thing is people don't realise that process. They just think that they see the bucket moving beautifully and carving the chalk, and then because everyone gets wowed at that. I'm sure you're the same. When they see that bucket moving, every member stops and they sort of go, wow. And you sort of want to go, it is amazing to sit there. Maybe I've been doing it too long, so I sort of understand it. But there's nothing better than when you could turn up to a site and go, that's it. Now, Paul's paying for that because ultimately Paul wants us finished and out of here. So some people say, oh, are you doing enough for that? Well, we've done it. It's right. So therefore, I would argue that somewhere along the line, it all went right because we were blooming good at what we all do. Yeah. But some people will say, well, he hasn't worked very hard today, has he? When you sit there going, well, there's something going right for it to, there's something going right for it to be right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We spoke earlier about it's not a renovation, is it? It's sorry, it's not a restoration. Would you say it's a reimagining?
I like that word, mate. I use that quite a bit actually. I think it's. I mean, I know you saying it's not. It's kind of. We've had a chat about it. It's kind of like, is it a James Edwards redesign? I'm not sure it is. It's a reimagination. It's a future proofing. Design. For me in the golf club, we don't want to see stones in our bunkers. We don't want to see bunkers washed down constantly. We want to improve all of that stuff. That's what kind of the brief gets. But for me, it's reimagining it to another level. That's how I see it. Is increasing that mediocre to the good, and I think that's what we're achieving.
Yeah, it's a title that Mackenzie and Ebert come up with, reimagining. Yeah. I'm very aware of that, and I think it's respectful to them. I think it's a good word, and I think they most probably came up with it. Yeah. So I don't like to sort of use it as well, but it is exactly that. If we're allowed, Tom and mine is that it's exactly that. Is how do you create something that is us? Because we have the right as well to touch this course. We're being paid and we're being trusted by a lot of members to touch the course. So therefore, and some people are so like, oh, no, it's not your course. It's James Braid. He's the genius. You sit there going, yes, but are we allowed to have any of that? Yeah. Are we allowed to own any of it? And sometimes even on websites now, and it's not a bitter comment, it's just one sometimes I'm blown away by. Sometimes your name doesn't appear on that sort of that history of the club. Even after the work's been done, it's still a James Braid course, and in 2005 we did a renovation, and you sit there going, hello, we definitely spent some time up there and changed 18 holes. But it's not, we don't need the label. It's just sometimes you just want to feel like you're important to the process, and because often, like Paul, like to come and talk in front of the members, I think is a critical thing. It doesn't happen everywhere to be able to come and actually stand in front of people. A lot of clubs just crack on, and you end up and then the members come and go, "Who are you?" Yeah. But in this particular case, you have there is a long stretch of golf holes here, which are just they're just waiting to be found. They're waiting to be found, and the routing of this place, regardless of the changes, right now is pretty damn good. Yeah. It does that lovely thing of going out and comes back in. And I love that. Race course. Yeah. It's a race course. Bang, bang. It doesn't cross over, just does that solid. It just needs to be found now. And that's what we're doing hole by hole. We're just putting, and you guys are seeing it. You're seeing the energy of it. Yeah. And it just needs a bit of height because this place is pretty.
I mean, you're pretty flat. I'll turn us around. Well, you obviously played here a number of times, but what was your opinion kind of the club pre-podcast, or the club or the course? I mean, what would you?
Just another average downland.
It's
course, if you want my honest
opinion. No, I definitely do,
better than others. Same as okay, so this is how I viewed it before. I wasn't fussed about coming back.
Yeah.
Now I want to.
Yeah, sure. I love your honesty.
Yeah.
Good. I'll add to that as well. And before we played it, I asked a few friends who had played it before and stuff, and said, what's it like? Like, I like to do my little bit of research before it. And they said, it's all right. It's all right. And I got it, and I texted them after saying, you need to come back here. Yeah. Like, it's clearly you played a different course, because I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But I'm also a bit of a sicko when it comes to golf courses. Like I said, when we went to play a course, I said, can I play to the back tees because I want to be kicked in the teeth by this course? But I love a challenge. If the wind's going a different direction, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to play bad, but I don't mind it, and I like seeing a challenge. I like seeing things be changed in different areas, but I can also see where that's going to be not just difficult, but you're going to have to play a different shot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I love being able to see the progression in that in the course as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't even gotten to agronomy, as in, when this place starts getting all the roughs in the right places, because the roughs aren't in the right places.
Yeah.
They've been pushed back. So all clubs obviously get worried about that wind and the rough.
I mean, that from a managing a member perspective is more difficult than changing bunkers.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, there's a WhatsApp group I'm in with our directors, and it's like, can we cut the rough down in front of this tee or this tee or this tee? What I usually kind of have to remind them of going, let's go back to thinking logically, where we have sets of tees that have specific carries. Because then you guys can play, and I can bring my kid to play in 10 years' time, and we can play off different sets of tees. So I think that's how we're looking at it moving forward. We want to have this beautiful course that's difficult to play from different aspects of different holes, but also people could come and play it off different tees and not have to carry 100 yards of fescue grasses. That's how I think most places are doing it, and it seems a common sense way of doing it.
But that's one of the biggest joys for me, is when you go and play the Heathlands and you just see all the tees and they're just in blocks of heather or rough, and with just one single mower around the tee, and then it's into rough, and then you're looking down and then you see a grass pathway. One of the joys, seeing a grass pathway disappear and then reappear, and you walk down this grass pathway. I'm sure we've all got the clubs on our back, and you just think, wow, that to me is like that to me is a golden thing, where you go, now to apply that to a members golf course is quite easy to do, but you just got to do it in a way where people feel like they're not getting beaten up.
Yeah.
But again, we haven't even got to that point yet. We haven't even looked at that yet, and I cannot wait to start piecing it together. Once you've got all the bunkers looking smart, then it's what's the next step? Well, the next step then is grass, and then looking at where you sustainably bring this thing in. And this course can bring in rough a lot, and I don't mean into the whole corridors, I mean everywhere else. There's not enough rough everywhere else. Like, Jack must be mowing an absolute ton of grass. It might not be, because in the summer I'm assured that all the rough's up, but I'd love to see where it's up. Because if you go, I'll tell you what, if I go to play a links course now, I get beaten up every time I play there. But why are they allowed to get away with it and we're not? It's like members, you've got to mow everything back. But that's the thing that I think rankings are born on, is that a definition.
Yeah.
I think if the fairways look great, the first cut, second cut, rough, whatever it is, it's that definition. I know a lot of people go, I love that.
Yeah.
But we're nowhere near that.
What we've got at the moment is a huge, vast area where we've cut and collect. So, all the fescue's down. So it kind of does look a bit bland, like James was saying. But that whole, we were looking at 10 earlier, and you can see where the lines and the fescue will come and grow in. And I think, we've got so much of it. We should start, like you've always encouraged us to take it off from other areas of the course and bring it into our main work, because it will frame the hole in such a different way than it does.
But we have a responsibility now to keep the rough up and do less mowing. And that's why I think we can actually now say to members, no, we have to now bring the rough in, not in the places that are going to hurt them, but do the analysis where can we grow the rough in, where it doesn't affect 90% of golfers.
I think the thing for that as well, just quickly touch on it, it's not so much just about growing rough, and it's about giving time back to focusing on things that
detail.
Yeah. So if when you guys play and you want detail on different aspects of the green, or, you want to get different areas of the course mown twice a week rather than once a week, it's nicking those minutes and hours in different areas of the course that we can now.
Hand mown areas. I would love to get a load of fleet hand mowers back into this club.
It looks like it'll be AI mowers. Is that where everyone else is?
To me, I done 1 year at Chart Hills, which you must probably know. That's where I was a member, and I did a year there as greenkeeping before I became an architect, and I was in charge of hand mowing some tees whilst all the other guys. Now, we had a team of 8, similar size to, no, not similar size, a few more, a couple more than you.
We've gone down to 5 now, so we're 5 and 6 usually.
5 and 6. Yeah. But every day we hand mowed tees and greens as a team of 8, and that's Chart Hills. And we had to walk the mowers out from behind the range.
Well, yeah.
So no, we didn't have gators or workmen. We had to walk them out, and we still got everything hand mowed in the mornings of every single day. Paul Hobden, who may or may not listen to this, was the course manager, will back that up. So the point is when I get told, oh no, we can't hand mow something, and I say, you can. It's just it's a level change to see hand mowing going on. As soon as I see hand mowing, I know where they rank.
Well,
because it's that simple.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with triplexes. We see it at the Open at St Andrews and various other places. But hammering has a detailed definition thing, or has a quality thing where people go, "That's nice."
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sussex National, back in the old days of Sussex National, when I went there in '93 when it was first opened, I remember just seeing all the mowers just waiting for you to hit your shot, and they just stayed at the end of the fairway. I remember thinking, no one does that.
No.
But that attention to detail is what this place now needs. So that's all the levels and the layers we're going to add to this place.
I think this sort of conversation is one that is not just for an hour, is it?
No.
No, it is. Sorry, that's my fault.
It feels like a board meeting, does it? So, I coming back there again.
That's why never invite me.
I told Pat this was going to be like a Joe Rogan podcast. We're gonna have a few beers, have a laugh.
Then you should have got that. Then you should have got the fire in the back.
But I will finish on this if you don't mind. I know it's a work in progress, but as it stands so far, James, favourite hole and why?
Oh, great question. I'm definitely going to say 4, could be 13. Jury's out yet.
Why 4? Let's go with that one. Why 4?
I think when we get the tee situation sorted out at 4, Paul doesn't know about the shit, but I think the tee needs to be bigger, and I think it just needs to be, in other words, I just need to dump a load of material. But I think if we can get half a metre on that tee, I think you're looking at one of the best par 3s in this county. Like, that's just my personal view. And I've been like you, I played all the courses here. I was a Kent boy, and I played all of them in the county matches. And like, I think West Sussex has some beautiful par 3s, but I love that hole. And I think 16, so 4 at the moment. I think 13 as a short par 4 could be a wonderful change. Once we do, okay, and a couple of I want to do a couple of things in the carry, but then I think 16 could beat 4. So it's a flaky answer. 4 at the moment, because we've done it. And then I won't say 10.
You're stealing all my holes.
No, I won't say 10. I won't say 10 because 10 to me was always a world-class golf hole. We saw it at the very beginning. Him and I both, way before it was done, he went, I can't wait till we do that hole. Right? Paul trusted us to do so, but 10 was always going to be what. So to me, that's like, I won't say the analogy, but that's like a really easy thing to change.
Yeah.
4 was quite hard, and I think 16 is even harder. This man's going to do a load of work next week on 16, and I think that will be a transformation. So I can't wait to see 16, but I think 4 or 16.
We're going with that. Oh, Pat, what's your favourite hole here so far?
So far,
Yeah.
it's got to be 10. And why? Because I shaped it.
Love
And now 10.
What is it about what you've done? Do you go?
For me, it's the before. It's the before, looking at it before and then looking at it afterwards. That's one of my favourite things to do, is transform something that is okay to something that is amazing.
Now makes you ask questions.
Yeah. So yeah, probably 10. I did enjoy 4. 4 was a great transformation.
I mean, a genuinely great transformation.
It's going to be 16.
Right.
It's 16. Going to be
space.
No, I'm
I haven't even touched it yet.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'll just echo what both of the lads have said, but yeah, I mean, for me, I think the 10 and 4 but be the ones that hopefully people are taking those photos on that I mentioned earlier, especially if we can raise that tee and get people to view it a little bit more on 4. I just want to say, I've got this opportunity. I mean, it's amazing for me as a general manager, and hopefully if any members listen to this, to hear the passion that James and Patrick talk about our club, with the passion that they do. They don't have to sit here and do this. I've only asked them, a thankful favour to come and do it. And I appreciate both of you for the time, but also just the passion that you put into our club. And, for me as a general manager that's only been in the industry for 5 years, to get 3 years of experience working with these two, it's why I come to work. And November is my favourite time of year, which is a strange one, but I mean, Pat turned up, so, but yeah, I mean, for me, like you said, 4 and 10, I think I love how we've tightened some of the easier holes. 15, just bringing shorter bunkers in. I think 18's a massive change, because it used to be a hole where you just you might top your 3-wood on your second shot and you might get on the green. for me, that's not really golf. I think I know every time we walk down there, James is in my ear about the next phase and what we need to change.
Yeah,
but
I've got one more thing to do before 18 is good for me.
But I think, yeah. I mean, I'm amazed and pleased with all the work we've done. But just again, thank you both for having all of us on as well.
Thanks.
It's guests like you that help make these interesting conversations.
Massively,
great and bringing the conversation to the wider audience, which is why we do it, because we hope that this goes, worldwide. Well, we know we've got a worldwide audience, don't we? But also nationwide. And if you're listening to this and you've enjoyed this conversation, get yourself down to East Brighton. You will not be disappointed from what is being created here.
Yeah.
And we have known this from our chats with you for the last few months, Paul. You brought it out, James. It's nice to work with a very forward-thinking GM and who's creating something, reimagining something together. There's this collaboration, this team, this minds that is truly well worth visiting.
Just quickly though, what's your favourite hole here?
I like it's a bit of a weird one. I like what's been done to 18. I'm talking about from what it was before.
Yeah, for sure.
It might not be the most, but what you've done to make it a very different,
more interesting.
I think walking over the hill, usually looking down onto
it needed something as well, didn't it?
It was the nudge down the hill. That was what was annoying me, was just watching people just nudge it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I can't.
Yeah.
I think it's made it so. I mean, it's one of those now. I know you boys have played it earlier and all made birdie, so I'm not kind of teeing this up very well.
I mean, it was
they played it earlier. They were telling me they had a wedge in and all this stuff. I was like,
again, this comes back to it. The brief was never to make this US Open standard. No. It was just to create the challenge. And now it will never stop you two hitting from A to B.
Yeah.
A to B is from A fairway to B green. You're not looking at the bunker 60 yards short unless you've hit a poor tee shot. So it wasn't for you.
I think what you've done, it came into play this year in our championship. It was a challenge to the best players hit.
Yeah.
Because they hit the 3-wood off the tee, and they went, I need to carry that front bunker down. The fairway ones. Whereas last year they wouldn't have even thought about it. They would have knocked it down the left hand side, pitched on, made a 4. Whereas now it challenged our champion, and he went in the bunker on the right, managed to make a credible 5 in the end, and won the championship by 1. So what we've tried to do, whether or not it's finished, it's definitely achieved what we were trying to.
So today, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah,
but it's all square between a scratch player and a 18 handicapper in the match play championship with the club.
Yeah,
it's all square on the 18th too. Right now, you bomb one down the middle, he nudges it down the middle. Right now, he has to make 5, net 4, whatever. Yeah. You have to make 4. So I think that hole is very well balanced now, where you've got a good tee shot and then you can flick whatever club you can flick in there.
Exactly.
But that's the balance now. You've stopped him or her from nudging the second ball on the ground all the way down to the green now. And then you sit there going, now, wait, I can knock it on in 2 now. I've actually got a chance here now. Whereas before, I would fancy him to make, or him or her to make 4, because they had no real block. Yeah. But now they can't do that, which now gives more balance back to you again. Yeah. It doesn't favour you.
Pat made a birdie the first time he came here, didn't he?
It doesn't favour you because they are going to make 5, net 4. But at least you've got now half a chance, and that's what we have to do as architects. We have to sit there and go, where's the trade here? And some holes we've got to favour you, and other holes we've got to favour them.
Exactly.
But
it's a bit
harsh. Favour me.
I know. That one went that way. For the record, it went that way.
What about you?
Oh, mine's actually 5, because I love the second shot into the green. I love the way it looks, being able to hit that onto the green.
Wait till we touch it; it'll be even better.
Yeah. But have you played it? What it is now, 13 is looking like it's going to be one of my favourites.
It's interesting with 5 because that's when you read the Google replies or customer replies. 5 and 6 are the 2. I mean, I think a lot of our members love 6 because you stand on that back tee, you look, you see all the beautiful mow lines, and you can see the halfway hut in the distance, all that stuff. But 5 is where I think you see a lot of visitors standing there taking that tee, taking a picture. You don't get many holes where you can smash a drive and it's flying off.
That's it.
So it is a cool tee shot.
Yeah.
I always get quite scared of that tee shot
because there's no other tee shot like that.
There isn't. Not,
and that's what makes it special. This course, you get that one where you just send it.
Yeah. But I mean, in my opinion, I hit a perfect drive, and I got down to the ball, and I still felt like I was doing a baseball swing.
The second shot,
I was like, but I still was like, I've hit a great shot, and I'm still not punished, but I'm like, I've still got to hit another good shot.
I'm interested to see what your take is on that, because we haven't gone down. We haven't visually drawn anything out, or
it's holes like that where you can see how much of a drastic change has been made to the rest of.
You can, because I mean, if you look at it just from a I mean, I've never studied architecture, but that right-hand side bunker for me is completely wrong. Above the green, I don't know, you'll tell me otherwise, but
No.
I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand it. It doesn't
I
visually
get
look
what you
wrong.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be one of the biggest changes on the whole course is the 5th green,
Yeah.
because that is a mess around there at the moment. No disrespect to anybody who's had any, but the tee for 6, the way that bunks, the pathway, it all just needs.
It doesn't configure right.
Just needs to change.
Yeah.
And that would be a great change, because once that architecture goes in, because what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, obviously, the low side's bunkered. You can go as far left as you want. Then you've got to come across that at some point. Yeah. So the height, if you can keep down the right and the out of bounds, that's going to be the. That's
the
going
line.
to be. It always is the line.
Yeah, and I think going back, and
But-
we've had course walks, and James has been involved with members that have been here 30, 40 years, and they'll always go, that was the way, and that was the line in. So, yeah, I mean that's hopefully what are we now, November 26th. I'm sure that will still, we'll start to do some work on there. We'll between the three of us start to plan it out and propose drawings to the club and the board.
Yeah.
And, it all starts now really to figure out that phase.
see that.
Then what? The wind's over your shoulder there, isn't it?
He's already thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying you for this. Let's move on.
I can assure you, he is paying.
Great stuff.
No, thank you very much,
Yeah.
guys. We can't wait to see the rest of the course unfold. And
Yeah.
this will go up the rankings.
For sure.
Rankings
Yeah.
they happen to be because of the work that's been put in. So till next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Awesome.